morning, everybody. I'm Jaimie Roggenbauer. I'm the Public Health Program Manager for the City of Sioux Falls Health Department, and I oversee our Mosquito Control Program. Most of our community knows our Mosquito Control Program for our warmer months, but we do efforts all year round. We partner with our fleet division, and they help do our maintenance for our trucks and our sprayers, and then we gather data throughout the season, and we review that end of season to see what improvements we need to make for the next year. So when we looked at our 2024 seasonal data, we decided we wanted to start our proactive measures a little bit early this year. So we started a month early, mid-April, and we did that for a couple of reasons. So we had a warmer winter and we're having a warmer spring, and mosquitoes in our region have the ability to winter. So what that means is that they can hibernate or they can slow down their metabolic process when they're in a larval stage. And in that stage, they're really protected from extreme weather that we have in South Dakota. They can hide in things like log piles and animal burrows, our sewer systems. So all we need is a little bit of warm weather, and then poop, here we are. So what we also did with our earlier starting for our season proactively is we survey the whole city for any standing water. And so we go and check for larvae in that standing water, and if we see it, we can treat it on the spot, and that prevents any mosquitoes from ever becoming those adult flying mosquitoes that we would see. The early intervention also includes treating our inlets. So any of our drainage systems around the road, we want to treat because they're perfect conditions for our mosquitoes. It's pretty stagnant water. They're protected from the environment. And in the city, we have about 11,000 of those. So those keep us pretty busy. We'll do this proactive treatment in our standing water and our inlets, like I said, starting in mid-April. That was that month early this year, and then all the way through the season. So probably like October time if we're still seeing those adult mosquitoes out. Along with our water treatments, we also do adult mosquito trapping. Historically, we had the city split into 18 different zones, but this year we have 20. We used help from our GIS analysts to kind of remap our region. And what that does is just be more effective with our treatments, more reasonable with how we spray. We did that because there's a lot of population growth, and we're expecting more population growth, and so that remapping really helps us stay on top of that. Each of our 20 zones has at least one adult mosquito trap. They get turned on Monday, and then we collect it every day, Tuesday through Friday. We look at the total number of mosquitoes in there, we ID them by type, and then we also do sample testing to see if they have West Nile virus. And this data all tells us when it's time to spray. We call it threshold data. And so we have thresholds set for different parameters. We have total number of mosquitoes, different types of mosquitoes, and then if we are getting a positive pool of West Nile virus in our sample testing, those are all different ranges why we might spray. We kind of have two main groups of mosquitoes. We have a lot of different species in our region, but they fall into two buckets. So we have a nuisance mosquito. Those are the ones that are out during the day. They bite really hard. You're trying to enjoy your summer, you're barbecuing, and they're kind of eating you up. Very annoying, but not a huge public health risk. And then we have our vector-borne mosquitoes, and those are ones that are out at dawn and dusk, and they can carry West Nile virus. Now, we're pretty famous for our spray trucks, but when we spray is really important. We use an ultra low volume chemical sprayer, which allows us to use a really small amount of chemical, but it reaches a 300-foot radius, so it's really effective. And we only want to spray when we do hit a threshold. So it needs to be at least 55 degrees at night, and then we have to be in ideal condition. So if it's really rainy or if it's windy, then those droplets are going to condense or they're going to blow over, so it's not going to be effective. We won't spray the entire city unless every threshold is met, which we know has happened before, but we want it to be really strategic and data-driven when we do spray. With the warmer weather, I keep getting asked when we are going to start our spraying efforts. We had a little bit of rain 2 days ago. We're going to get a little bit of rain probably tomorrow and the day after, and then warm temperatures. So that is the perfect ideal conditions for mosquitoes to develop. So we'll probably start our spraying efforts right after that. We'll check our thresholds, of course, to make sure that it's the right time, but that's most likely when it'll happen. We typically see those nuisance mosquitoes, the hard biters, earlier in the season, and then around July and on through October, we see those vector mosquitoes that can carry West Nile virus. But we do the sample testing all season just because it is a public health risk. In Sioux Falls and South Dakota, we have one of the highest per capita rates for West Nile virus in our nation. We always fall in the top 5, but we're very consistently number 1. And so our mosquito control program is really made for that public health risk mitigation. But it's kind of a double benefit that we also treat the nuisance part of it. When we do reach threshold and need to spray, if you want to know that we're spraying, you can always text spray to 888-777, and anytime we spray, you'll get a text alert. We spray between the hours of 8 p.m. and 1 a.m. on the weekdays. The spray is very safe. It's EPA certified. We use a very, very tiny amount in those ultra low volume sprayers, and so it's going to be safe around children, pets, your plants. In general, we do all of our calibrations per chemical every year so that we know it's the right amount for the appropriate population. So those are all things that we do under mosquito control, but our community can do things too to keep themselves safe, to keep other people safe, and that includes maintaining their grass in their backyards. I have kiddos, so we have toys in our backyards, so making sure we don't have standing water in those things. If you have a bird bath, making sure you replace the water in the bird bath because that's a perfect place for them to develop. You can wear your deep bug spray if you're out and about. And then if you are out at night, especially if you're an agricultural worker, wearing long, loose, and light-colored clothing will really prevent you from getting bitten up. We encourage people to visit our siouxfalls.gov/mosquito website. It's going to have a lot more about our program, how you can contact us, and then you can sign up for text alerts as well. But with that, I'm open to any questions that you guys have.
So obviously last year there was a higher uptick of mosquitoes with the crazy flood that we saw and everything like that. That's not something you can necessarily prepare for, but what are some proactive measures that you all take to maybe get a leg up whenever something like that does happen or flooding may happen?
Yeah, so the first thing we do is those proactive measures that we always start with, treating any standing water with that larvicide, because it prevents them from going to that larva, to that flying adult mosquito. The other thing that we can do is pay attention to the weather. So if we know we're going to get a big downpour of weather, we can do kind of preventative maintenance to make sure that vegetation is under control. That flooding was a really special example, because when we do treat our standing water, all of that extra water in it kind of dilutes what we did, and then we have a whole bunch of extra standing water, which is that perfect untreated environment for them to develop. And so it kind of goes through that development process for them to go from larval to adult mosquitoes really fast. But we try to watch those things as carefully as we can. And then if we do have a lot of zones that we need to spray, it's all hands on deck. So any other questions? No? Well, thank you guys so much for being here.